there, Annie, Bonjour, Kwekwe. It's Catherine from Moonstarlodge. And I decided today to pull some cards for the week of May 23rd through to the 29th, which is including the Monday of our long weekend. It's also that fourth quarter of Listening Woman. Now, in Indigenous culture, we never plant anything in fourth quarter. We're always weeding, destroying, plowing under, cutting down. We're removing that which no longer serves our garden. If we think of our spirits, our souls, our greater calling in the same way, this particular reading was for me an important time to discuss shadow. And the reason I'm saying that, well, I was reminded of fourth quarter, was since the full moon eclipse, and the full moon was in perigee, so it was the closest to the earth it could be, back on the 15th and 16th, I felt fine during the weekend. And then by Monday, I found myself in an immunological flare, which happens with rheumatoid arthritis, but it has persisted for several days, which is unusual for me. I feel really out of sorts, and recognizing that this eclipse in its powerfulness is causing me to listen to issues of shadow. So after all these years with a psychology degree and all my years in theological work as a spiritualist and channeler, I'm really quite in tune with my own harmonics and disharmonics. And so if I'm feeling this and aware of it, others may need to be as well. So I felt that this is a perfect week to discuss aspects of shadow, and so what better to do than pull some cards that reflect how we can best weed our psyche, our garden of the mind in this fourth quarter. So let's go to the cards. I'm using the Bat's Blood Ink by Monica Badirsky, the Macabre Tarot by Sam West, Peace Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. I'm using the Shadowland Lenormand by the lovely Monica Badirsky, the Archeo Personal Archetype Cards by Nick Bantock, the Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacy DeMarco, and finally, last but not least, the Shadowland Tarot as well by Monica Badirsky. She created that deck specifically for the purposes of dealing with shadow. So here are the 7 cards of the Shadowland Tarot. We have the card representing an ancestor message by Sam West. Here's our Archeo archetype. Here's our Queen of the Moon card, Bat's Blood Ink, Shadowland Lenormand, and finally the Peace Oracle. So this is a wild assortment of cards. No wonder I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts. But our anchor card is the Ace of Pentacles, and this is a very big hand with a very big coin, or something looking like a coin. So this is the beginning of a new enterprise. Pentacles are all about our third dimensional earth walk, and so our stability, our jobs, how we live, where we live, what we do, how we bring to us the abundance we need to live in our third dimensional world. So this is the focus. We have the Emperor. Well, the Emperor is a very wonderful elderly gentleman who has a great deal of gratitude for his position. Normally speaking, I'm going to talk about the shadows in a bit. We have the Queen of Wands, who is a very patient, extremely orderly person when it comes to putting out her passion, her fire in the world, her spirit. This is the card of someone who has her poop together, as I said before, on matters of the spirit and passion and moving forward. She's got it covered, and she's patient about it. The King of Pentacles is at the other end of this particular suit, and he's got all his ducks in a row. He's a businessman, likely somebody who's got his affairs in order. He's good at being the boss, that sort of person. We've got the Two of Pentacles. This mummy is balancing on one and balancing the other. It's about juggling things and keeping things, our balls in the air, so to speak, and not flubbing. Then we have another queen. So we have two queens. The Queen of Swords, who is often seen as an older woman. But I'm not going by gender here. I'm talking about the attributes of these cards and how anybody can take on the attributes. So this person is well-spoken, thoughtful. So this is the air suit, and about intellect. So we have earth, we have fire, we have air, and this is the Page of Swords. So we have the energy and the drive intellectually to go seeking knowledge. What are the shadow aspects of this as we move through this week? Well, this is not having our beginnings of a plan well thought out. It's not orderly in terms of organizing our money. It's being lax with money, perhaps throwing our money around. This Emperor card, the shadow side, would be somebody who's not very organized, not capable of coordinating others, and isn't grateful for the job that he has. The Queen of Wands, disorganized, is impatient, slovenly, haphazard, does things willy-nilly, and misuses her energy and time. The shadow of the King of Pentacles is again being disorganized, wasting money, is probably a disgruntled employee rather than the boss. The Two of Pentacles here would be not organized, would be, not balanced, I should say, would be dropping the ball, so to speak, literally and figuratively. The Queen of Swords in her shadow aspect is very cutting, uses words to hurt, has a fear of aging, is very caustic and impatient. And this Page of Swords is misusing their youthful energy and their drive. They're not doing the research they need. They are misusing their words. They're being hurtful and just a train wreck. So how do we face the possible shadows that we might have based on these cards? Well, we have the Terror of Cups. In Sam's deck, this ancestor is telling us that this would be the energy of the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is passionate, artistic, flamboyant, and eager to please, and romantic. So looking for the loving aspect of self is how any of these positions in this reading can come to terms with the shadow. This is an interesting card. This Archeo personality card actually is named. It's very hard to see it here, but this is the Shadow Diver. So the Shadow Diver is taking a big leap. There they are, going down the rabbit hole, looking for the things which have caused us trauma, which we're not perhaps dealing with or acknowledging, the things that we fear that stop us moving forward. Anything that qualifies as shadow, this little being, the Shadow Diver, is going after them and saying, this is what we must do to keep any of these aspects that are part of all of us in this coming week. They're part of all of us at different times through our whole lives, but this is telling me that we have some pretty masterful capacity here next week if we use it correctly. 2 queens, an emperor, a king, and a page. That's amazing to me that we have this much court card support, and of course this is a major arcana card. So all of these accomplished positions don't get there because they disavow their shadows or stop acknowledging them. They would never have reached their courtly positions if they didn't take the time to work on embracing and loving these parts of us. It's interesting to me that the moon card here is the full moon power. We are embracing this full moon power. We still have the energy of it, at least up to the time of the 24th, I believe, is 4th quarter. So we can utilize all this energy that's still riding from the time of the eclipse and the full moon on the 15th, 16th, because it was in perigee. It's so close. So the power that this gave us can be used for the good. Yeah, forget Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is actually a good thing because it causes us to slow down so we don't trip over our own proverbial feet. It's saying slow down and use this mighty power to regain your courtly power here. And this card, this is from the Bat's Blood. This is about our hand of fate, our destiny. It's a standard hand that has the astrological symbols on it. I have one on my desk, and I think I've seen one in Monica's videos numerous times. This hand helps us to grab onto or clasp onto the idea of, are we acknowledging our shadows and fears so that we can move forward into what it is that we are destined to make or do or create or be, following the cycles, the astrological cycles, following the seasons, all of these things that are represented here in this card. Are we using the hand of fate? This is technically the hand of fate. We are fated to do certain things, and are we getting the incorporated shadow involved, because we waste a lot of our psychic energy by putting the garbage can lid on the things that we don't want to acknowledge about ourselves, be they perceived flaws or the traumas or the fears. The next card here is Dog, and this is from the Shadowland Lenormand. And this little being, dog is normally about companionship, something that's trustworthy. That's the same concept of dog and wolf in indigenous culture. But in this card, it's actually a giant flea with a dog mask on. It's masquerading as a dog in an attempt to mislead this little person here into trust. Holding on to shadow is misleading us. It's not the way to have trust that we are complete and whole. All of us have shadow, and all of us contain the archetypes, which allow us to confront and heal. So be careful that you're not allowing yourself to be misled by ego or by others. The companions that you bring forward to trust on your journey of healing your shadow selves need to be authentic. Your motives need to be authentic, and your journey toward healing needs to be authentic. Not rushed, but with the power that you have from the resources around you, be they ancestors, be they spirit guides, be they the moon itself. The grandmother of this moon is still a listening woman. By connecting with your own source, your own oversoul, to look at your fate and karma as you have chosen in other lifetimes. Choosing your earthly companions, that's very important. And now finally, the last card of this reading is Gateway. And it's a tree. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's a tree. And it's a gateway to peace. Now, because of my shamanic training, I jumped to our tree of peace in our culture, and the fact that we use a tree as a gateway into the other dimensions. I'm not suggesting to you, unless you are shamanically trained, that you do this that way. But I see this as using nature, using the connections in nature, whether it's the fae spirits, the tree spirits, the plant spirits, all have a medicine, and a medicine is a teaching. They all have a teaching, and a teaching is a medicine. So this is about spending some time in peace and solitude, and making your way through this coming week, weeding your garden. You can flip the camera, Brian. An unusual reading, but a necessary one. It says to me that there are a lot of people having some slippage, falling into behaviors perhaps that are created by not dealing with our shadow selves. Not that there are people who are not progressing in the thing they love and want to do, because they are trapped or shackled by fear. So this is an important time of growth, and we stifle our growth if we don't deal with these shadow things. If you need help, reach out. It's important. So I will say, Miigwech, Yoan, Aho. I offer you peace in this final week of Listening Woman, and may you be blessed on this journey.